Hello, my name is Jiso and I'm reading Master Dōgen's Shōbōgenzō, and it's been a long read, and I wouldn't lie if I didn't say I've been getting a bit tired. But we're about 60 pages from the end, chapter 88, Kie-sanbo, taking refuge in the three treasures. So let's read some of this. Kie means devotion to or taking refuge in, and sanbo means the three treasures, Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Buddha means Gautama Buddha and other people who have attained the same state as Gautama Buddha. Dharma means reality. Sangha means the Buddhist community of monks, nuns, laymen and laywomen. The three treasures are of supreme value in Buddhism, and Master Dōgen emphasized the importance of devoting ourselves to them. He says that devotion to the three treasures is the beginning and the end of Buddhism. Zennen Shingi says, "Do you revere Buddha, Dharma and Sangha or not?" 120, question 1. 120, page 120 from Zennen Shingi. Anyway. It gets asked in the Jukai ceremony and also in Tokudo. Clearly, in the Western heavens and the Eastern lands, what the Buddhist patriarchs have authentically transmitted is reverence for Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. If we do not take refuge in them, we do not revere them, and if we do not revere them, we cannot take refuge in them. We accomplish the merit of this taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma and Sangha whenever sympathetic communication of the truth takes place. So footnote means mystical communication between Buddhas and living beings, or the universe and living beings. I like that. Whether we are in the heavens above, the human world, hell, or states of demons and animals, if sympathetic communication of the truth occurs, we take refuge without fail. Once we have taken refuge, we develop merit in every life, in every age, in every location, and at every place. We pile up merit and heap up virtue, and we accomplish the truth of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Even if we happen to be led by bad friends and encounter hindrances of demons, so that we temporarily become one who cuts off good roots, or become an Iccantika. Iccantika means one who pursues desires to the end. Eventually, we will continue with good roots whose merit will develop. The merit of taking refuge in the three treasures is, in the end, not subject to decay. This taking refuge in the three treasures means, with concentrated pure belief, whether the age is one in which the Tathagata is alive or whether it is after the Tathagata's extinction, holding the palms together, lowering the head, and orally reciting the following. I, so-and-so, from my present body until attainment of the Buddha's body, take refuge in the Buddha, take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha, I take refuge in the Buddha, most honoured of bipeds, I take refuge in the Dharma, honoured as beyond desire, I take refuge in the Sangha, honoured among communities. I have taken refuge in the Buddha, I have taken refuge in the Dharma, I have taken refuge in the Sangha. It's also from Zennen Shingi. Chapter 94, Jukai has this in as well. It's funny that Jukai is so far towards the end of Shōbōgenzō, but we will get to it soon. Resolving upon the distant Buddha effect of Bodhi, we should thus bring into being a samnaha. Samnaha. Suit of armour. Wonderful. I need a suit of armour. Then, although this body and mind, kasana by kasana, even now is appearing and disappearing, The Dharma body will long continue to thrive and will accomplish the state of Bodhi without fail. Oh, sorry, yawny tonight. As for the meaning of to take refuge, literally to return to and to depend upon, to return is to devote oneself to, and to depend upon is to submit to. For this reason, we call it taking refuge. The form of devotion is, for example, like a child belonging to its father. Submission is, for example, like a people depending upon their king. These are words for, in other words, salvation. Because Buddha is our great teacher, we take refuge in him. Because Dharma is good medicine, we take refuge in it. Because Sangha are excellent friends, we take refuge in them. Someone asks, for what reason do we take refuge solely in these three? The answer is because these three kinds of treasure are ultimate places of refuge, and they can cause living beings to get free from life and death and to experience the great state of Bodhi. Therefore we take refuge in them. These three kinds of treasure are, in conclusion, of unthinkable merit. Buddha in India is pronounced Buddhaya, transliteration of the Sanskrit Buddha, and in China is translated as the state of truth, the supreme right and balanced state of truth. Dharma in India is pronounced Daruma or pronounced Donmu, which is a variant of the Sanskrit sound, and in China is translated as the law. All dharmas, good and bad and indifferent, are called dharmas, but the present dharma, capital D, as an object of devotion within the three treasures is dharma as the law. Sangha in India is pronounced Sogya, and in China is translated as harmonious community. The three treasures have been praised like this. The three treasures, as what abides and is maintained, statues and stupas are the Buddha treasure, yellow paper on a red rod is the transmitted Dharma treasure, shaving of the head, dyeing of robes, and the conventional form of the rules of discipline are the Sangha treasure. The three treasures, as related to the Buddha's teaching forms, Shakyamuni, the world-honoured one, is the Buddha treasure. The Dharma wheel he turned and the sacred teachings that he propagated are the Dharma treasure. The five men, Ajñata, Kaundinya, and the others are the Sangha treasure. I'm not going to read the names of the others, sorry. The three treasures as the body of theory. The Dharma body of 5 divisions is called the Buddha treasure. The truth of cessation, the state without intention, is called the Dharma treasure, and the merits of students and those beyond study are the Sangha treasure. The truth of cessation is the 4 noble truths. State without intention is Zazen, presumably, and those beyond study are the Arhats. The three treasures, each as a totality, experience and understanding of the great state of truth is called the Buddha treasure. Purity, being beyond taintedness, is called the Dharma treasure. And ultimate principles making harmony, being without hesitation and without stagnancy, is called the Sangha treasure. Past Buddhists took refuge in the three treasures as described like this. Living beings of scant good fortune and small virtue do not hear even the names of the three treasures. How much less are they able to take refuge? The Sutra of the Flower of Dharma says, these living beings of many sins, with their bad conduct as direct and indirect causes, even if they pass asimkayas of kalpas, do not hear the name of the three treasures. That was from the Lotus Sutra. The Sutra of the Flower of Dharma is the one great purpose of the Buddha Tathagatas. Of all the sutras preached by the great teacher Shakyamuni, the Sutra of the Flower of Dharma is the great king and is the great teacher. Other sutras and other dharmas are all the subjects and the retinue of the Sutra of the Flower of Dharma. What is preached in the Sutra of the Flower of Dharma is just the truth. What is preached in other sutras always includes an expedient means, which is not the Buddha's fundamental intention. If we evoked preaching contained in other sutras in order to compare and appraise the Sutra of the Flower of Dharma, that would be backwards. Without being covered by the influence of the merit of the Flower of Dharma, other sutras could not exist. Other sutras are all waiting to devote themselves to the Flower of Dharma. In the Sutra of the Flower of Dharma, there is the present preaching. Remember, the merits of the three treasures are supremely valuable and are supreme. The world-honoured one said, "Ordinary people, fearing oppression, often seek refuge in mountains and parks and in forests, solitary trees, caityas, and so on. Such seeking for refuge is not excellent, and such seeking for refuge is not valuable. It is not possible through seeking for refuge to be liberated from the many kinds of suffering. If beings take refuge in Buddha and take refuge in Dharma and Sangha, they will, in the reality of the Four Noble Truths, constantly observe with wisdom, knowing suffering, knowing the accumulation of suffering, knowing the eternal transcendence of the many kinds of suffering, and knowing the Eightfold Noble Path that leads to the balanced and peaceful state of Nirvana. This taking refuge is most excellent, and this taking refuge is supremely valuable. It is always possible, by thus taking refuge, to be liberated from the many kinds of suffering." The world-honoured one clearly set it out for all living beings. Living beings should not, fearing oppression, vainly seek refuge in mountain deities, demon deities, and the like, or seek refuge in non-Buddhist caityas. Living beings are never liberated through such seeking of refuge. Typically, following the wrong teachings of non-Buddhism, people adhere to the ox precepts. The ox precepts, nothing to do with imitating the life of an ox in one's daily life, a kind of ascetic practice, right? Okay. The deer precepts, the Raksasa precepts, I'm going to have to look that one up, a demon that feeds on human flesh, yake. The demon precepts, the mute's precepts, the deaf person's precepts, the dog precepts, the chicken precepts, I want to read those ones, or the pheasant precepts, or they coat the body with ash, or they make long hair into forms, or they sacrifice a sheep, at which time they first recite Dharanis and then kill it, or they perform fire rituals for 4 months, or they take air for 7 days, or they serve to various gods offering of 100,000 kotis of flowers, and all their desires by this means they strive to accomplish. There is no affirmation that such methods can become the cause of liberation. Such methods are not praised by the wise, they are to suffer in vain without good results. Because it is so, we must definitely be clear that we are not idly devoted to wrong ways. Even if a method is different from these precepts, if its principle corresponds to the principle of seeking refuge in solitary trees, caityas, and so on, do not seek refuge through it. The human body is hard to receive, and the Buddha Dharma is rarely met. If we idly spent a lifetime as the follower of a demon deity, or if we passed many lives as beings descended from the false view, that would be lamentable. By swiftly taking refuge in the three treasures of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we should not only be liberated from the many kinds of suffering, we should accomplish the state of Bodhi. The Sutra of Rare Occurrences, Sutra of the Buddha's preaching on comparison of the merits of rare occurrences, translated from Sanskrit by Janangagupta during the Sui dynasty. Sutra does not contain the exact words quoted here. It's likely that this quotation was taken from a summary of the sutra. Sutra of Rare Occurrences, says, teaching the 4 continents and the 6 heavens of the world of desire so that all attain the 4th effect does not equal to the merit of one human being's reception of the 3 devotions. The 3 devotion means taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. The 4 continents are the eastern, western, southern and northern continents. Of these, the northern continent cannot be reached by the teaching of the 3 vehicles. To teach all living beings in that place and to make them into arhats would be seen as a very rare occurrence indeed. Sorry, what is this place? The north continent is Mount Sumeru, inhabited only by angels and therefore is out of bounds to Buddhists of the 3 vehicles, Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Buddhists like lists. Even if such benefit existed, it could never equal the merit of guiding one human being to receive the 3 devotions. The 6 heavens also are imagined to be a place where living beings who can attain the truth are rare. Even if we caused those living beings to attain the 4th effect, that would never equal the greatness and the profundity of the merit of one human being's reception of the 3 devotions. The Ekottaragama Sutra, Ekottaragama, one of the 4 agamas of the Chinese version, said to have been first translated into Chinese by Dharmanandi in 384. That translation was lost. The later translation survives by Gautama Sangadeva in 397. They didn't tell us what Ekottaragama means. The Ekottaragama Sutra says, there was a god of Trayastrimsha, the heaven of 33 gods, whose laments, when the 5 signs of decay appeared, that it would be born as a wild boar, were heard by Shakra Devanam Indra. Shakra, upon hearing this god, summoned it and told it, you should take refuge in the 3 treasures. It immediately did as it had been instructed, and thereby escaped birth as a wild boar. The Buddha preached the following verse. Beings that take refuge in Buddha do not fall into the 3 evil states. They end excesses and live in the world of humans and gods. They will arrive at nirvana. After the god had received the 3 devotions, it was born into a rich man's family. Further, it was able to leave family life and to realize the state of one beyond study. In sum, the merit of taking refuge in the 3 treasures is beyond consideration. It is inestimable and infinite. Oh, seems like a good place to finish. There's lots of mention of the 4th effect. Well, the bhiksu in the 4th dhyana is the next chapter, the 4th and ultimate stage of practice, Shizen Bhikkhu. And then after Shizen Bhikkhu is Buddhas alone together with Buddhas, which is a phrase you might have heard, Yuibutsu Yobutsu. Then we have Shoji, life and death. That's a good thing to think about towards the end of your life. The will to the truth, Dōshin, is next. Then Jukai is the penultimate chapter. And lastly, Hachi Dainin Gaku, the 8 truths of a great human being. So, I've got that much to read. We're nearly there. We've done such a lot. Anyway, I'm only reading it. The real credit goes to Nishijima and Cross, who had to translate the thing. That's a lifetime's practice. Anyway, thanks for listening. Take care.